We're doing inmate pleas, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have McDonald, who's Boofer.
Strazio.
So we can do that. Unfortunate. Come on. Too late. All right, so I have 11 people in the waiting room.
And all of them are probably for the plea not true. Or plea true with open plea or whatever it is.
I need Joel.
Joel is with Boofer.
When are you joining us? Or is it?
I'm listening.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning. Can we have Boofer first? I have one of these. It's a adjudication. What's the other one?
The other one is the DWLI.
Is it a new case or an adjudication?
Yes,
New
it's
case.
a new case.
All right. What's the sentence on that one?
On the new case, sorry, it's 90 days. I'm sorry, it's
90, 117. Okay. All right. All right. Are you Brandon Boofer? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you would raise your right hand and be sworn. You swear or affirm testimony about to give me the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is your true name Brandon Bristow Boofer?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand you have two cases pending? One is a new case charged you with driving while your license was invalid. And the other one is an old case where you were previously placed on deferred for, I don't know what for. What was it for? Eight 1123 2017.
2017 case is a special.
Possession of marijuana. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And have you had enough time to go over each case with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand we're doing this plea electronically and your attorney is online with us right now?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay doing the plea electronically?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's take the old case first. In the old case, you were previously placed on deferred for possession of marijuana. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And the state has filed a petition to adjudicate you, alleging you violated probation. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And looks like y'all worked out a plea agreement for 90 days in jail with credit for at least 121 days. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You'll be time served as of right now on this case, okay? Okay.
Yes, sir.
To the allegations in the state's petition to adjudicate, how do you plead true or not true?
True.
I find the allegations are true. Adjudicate you, find you guilty, sentence you 90 days in jail. You'll get credit for 121 days. Like I said, you'll be time served as of right now in this case, okay? In the new case, you understand you're charged with driving while your license was invalid.
Yes, sir.
And you worked out a plea agreement in that case for 90 days with credit for at least 117 days. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
To the charge of driving while your license is invalid, how do you plead?
True.
Well, it's guilty or not guilty.
Guilty.
I accept your plea guilty, find you guilty, sentence you to 90 days in jail. You get credit in that case for 117 days at least. You'll also be time served in that case. Both cases run concurrent, and you'll be time served on everything that we're dealing with today, right now, okay?
Okay.
You have any questions about anything?
No, sir.
All right, good luck. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Just have some.
Okay.
You tell me which attorney, I'll tell you which defendant.
Well, I can't keep this thing. Let's do Goheen's.
Okay, so his is McDonald, Christopher McDonald.
Could we have McDonald?
Judge, I'm still waiting on him. He's an escort inmate and we're a little shorthanded, so I'm still waiting on them to bring him down. I
Okay.
had Cannon.
Richard Andrews.
I don't. Who's that?
Andor is with Kenneth Cannon.
Can't. Let's do that one then. We'll get back to you. Moment.
Sorry.
That's right.
He's in route.
All right. This is Cannon. All right. This is Kenneth Cannon. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cannon, if you would raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you swear or affirm testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Is your true name Kenneth Clavone Cannon?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you understand in this case you are charged with driving while intoxicated?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And do you also understand there's a separate paragraph that alleges you had a BAC above a 0.15?
Yes, sir.
And it looks like you and your attorney worked out a plea agreement for 40 days in jail with credit for 125 days. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Did this case happen before or after September of 2019?
I believe after, Judge. I'll double check.
Yeah, okay, it's this year, okay. Have you had enough time to go over the case with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand we're doing this plea electronically and your attorney's online with us right now?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay doing the plea electronically?
Yes, sir.
To the charge of driving while intoxicated, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And to the allegation that you had a BAC above a 0.15, is that allegation true?
Yes.
All right, accept your plea, find you guilty, sentence you to 40 days in jail. You'll get credit for 125 days. You'll be time served as of today. Because you're in jail, I'm going to find that you're indigent today and waive the statutory fine. In addition, has your license been suspended?
Not that I know of. I've been in here the whole time.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you, I think it probably was suspended while you were in there. I'm going to give you ALR credit for your license suspension, suspend it for 90 days, okay?
Okay.
Thank you,
Do you have
Judge.
any questions about anything else?
Just how do I? Is there any way I could get like copies of the paperwork just so I can have for my own file for my plea and guilty, or is that not possible since we're doing
I
it?
think they will bring them to you here in a little while once we get everything signed. You should be able to get copies once you get out, though, for sure.
Okay. And
Okay.
you said on the driver's license, you said it's suspended 90 days.
And it depends on whether you voluntarily gave a test or not. If you didn't voluntarily give a breath or blood test, it's probably got suspended for 180 days.
Okay.
So I'm only going to do it for 90 days so they can give you credit for the suspension you already have. So you may be
Okay.
suspended for another 60 days or so, or 60 plus, probably more than that, because it's 40 days plus then it starts. Anyway. All right. Do you have any questions about anything else?
No, sir.
Good luck. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Just have a seat on the back row.
All right. What was your guys' name again?
My name is McDonald, Your Honor.
Y'all have McDonald. There we go.
Yes.
McDonald.
All right, if you would raise your right hand and be sworn.
Mr. McDonald?
You swear or affirm testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Is your true name Christopher Michael McDonald?
Yes.
And do you understand in this case you are charged with assault?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to go over the case with your attorney?
Yes.
And it looks like you and your attorney have worked out a plea agreement for 20 days in jail. You've got credit for 28 days. You'll be time served as of today. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
To the charge of assault, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Accept your plea of guilty. Find you guilty, sentence you to 20 days in jail. You'll get credit for 28 days. Like I said, you'll be time served as of right now, okay?
Okay.
You have any questions about anything?
No.
All right. Good luck. Thank y'all.
Mr. McDonald, your family is aware of what's going on and they know you're getting out today. Okay?
Okay.
All right?
Cool.
They're looking
Yeah,
forward to you
cool.
coming back. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Take your meds.
Okay.
Thanks, Judge.
See y'all.
Thanks.
Is this whole Francis?
Yes, what, it should be the last one.
All right. I think we need to go to the Corona pod. Is that right? Who do we need?
So we called Watson.
Watson.
Watson. I'm not sure how we're gonna get there. Are they online?
They should be. I called him.
What name would it be under?
It should be 4D, pod 4D.
I don't see it. I don't see Holkrantz either. Oh, it's Bob's iPhone.
Can you ask her who I should send email to, not send it again?
Who should we send an email to so we can send another invite, Zoom invite?
I'll have to call him. Hang on just a second.
We're trying to find your client.
40 Vance.
Hey, what Zoom link number are you on? Because it's not pulling up. Does it say 17.032 inmate plea? Or are you on the Ox Court? Rick, can you read me the number? Okay, that one. Because it's not connecting. Type in this number again. Are you ready? 972-680-55413. What color iPad are you on? The blue? Can you get to your email? No, but I'm fixing to.
Hey, Judge.
What's your first initial? Let me know when you get it. See that Zoom link? See if it will let you get to that. Can you type that? Can you completely shut out the Zoom, back out of Zoom and go back into it? And do that Zoom link. Yeah, type it back in. Completely close out your Zoom on the tablet. I'll give you the guided access code.
Jesus Christ. Hey, Judge, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's going on?
We're trying to get the Zoom set up in the pod. He's not in the regular pod,
Oh, okay.
in a special pod.
Yeah, I think it was COVID.
Mhm. All right.
Mindy have something to say?
Yep. She gave you a look, but it came to me.
55413.
We may have them. Let's see. Is it Sheriff Office iPad 8?
Probably.
Let me try that. It's probably been on there the whole time.
Okay.
I think we're good. I think we got it.
Yeah, connect to it. Is that you? That's you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to
All right.
unmute it. Hmm? No. It just got added on just now. Ask them to unmute the iPad if you would.
Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes, there you go.
All right.
All right, if you would, raise your right hand to be sworn. You swear or affirm testimony about giving this cause be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Is your true name Robert
Yes, I do.
Watson?
Yes, it is.
And do you understand in this case you're charged with burglary of a vehicle?
Yes, I do.
Have you had enough time to go over the case with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
And do you understand your attorney's online with us and we're doing this plea electronically?
Yes, I do understand.
To the charge of burglary of a vehicle, how do you plead?
We'll plead guilty today. For no contest, yes.
Well, they want either guilty or not guilty. Are you okay with a guilty plea?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
All right, I accept your plea of guilty, find you guilty, sentence you to 60 days in jail. You'll get credit for 74 days. You'll be time served as of right now, okay?
Yes, sir.
You have any questions about anything?
No, sir, I don't.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
See you.
Thank you.
All right,
Mr.
Robert.
Watson,
Yes.
just to let you know, you were scheduled to, I thought you were going to do it last Thursday. But the paperwork got lost up in court 1. And so that's why you had to stay in there that much longer. I apologize, but it had been set up just like I had told you on that Tuesday.
Okay, I got one question for you, though.
Yes, sir.
A long time ago, maybe a month and a half ago, you said you're going to get me out on a PR bond. What happened to that?
Well, they filed the information about a day after I told you that.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't do it?
It was the quickest damn thing I'd ever seen. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I couldn't get out. Or they
Yes,
filed
sir.
it. Yeah, they filed
Yes.
it on December the 1st or something like that, I think. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the reason why. All right, then.
All righty.
All right, Mr. Hillcrest, thanks for your help.
All right. Good luck.
All
See you
right,
later.
bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Thanks, Jill.
Jesus Christ. All right, Judge. Yeah, I'm done.
See ya. All right.
How are you, sir?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bring in. I think that's all we had from the jail.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring in.
Here, I'll do it. I think I got it too, so I'll do it right now. Sorry, I saw the email but didn't. You can do that, thank you.
All right, and we need, what's the client's name? Steve Vine Bishop.
How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Sorry about the last minute trying to get it over to the client and have him send everything in, the plea paperwork. That was a little rough at the end there, so I apologize. And Judge, on that plea paperwork, I did get the most up-to-date back time from the bailiff at 92 days. So that would.
Who do we need? We need a defendant. What?
Right. Right now we have his mother. That's Jennifer, and I think it says Worship Laptop is the one that is him.
Okay.
He's.
Yeah.
And that is his sister. He was trying to help him.
I'm assuming that's not him.
Right, that's his sister. She's trying to help him get everything set up on her, on the uncle's computer, his uncle's computer.
I haven't.
Well, okay. So which I thought I'm sorry. Can you guys unmute? Jennifer, you're on mute, and Tabitha, you're on mute as well. If you can unmute and let me know which one that Mark is on, so that I can have the judge bring him in.
I think Mark says youth computer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Mark's is youth computer, and the rest are family.
I can bring everybody in unless y'all want to invoke the rule.
Your Honor, we'll invoke the rule at this time.
Okay. That means we'll have to.
I explained it to him, Judge, before that might happen. They'd be excluded other than when they testify.
All right. I've got to figure out how to remove them for.
I would guess that they need to exit and then try to back in.
Yeah, y'all will probably need to just exit. Jennifer and I'm assuming it's Tabitha.
Yes.
Yeah, if y'all can just exit.
So do you want us to actually leave the meeting and then we'll be called when to come in, or what do we
Leave
do?
and then come back and you'll be in the waiting room.
Okay,
Does that make
understood.
sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I need to accidentally brought Miss Officer Rust in. Officer Rust, if you can leave the meeting and then come back, we'll come back into the waiting room. We'll bring you in when we need you. The rule's been invoked. There you go. All right, we got everybody we need right now, right? You don't
Yes.
have like 5 other prosecutors wanting to watch, do you?
What?
You don't have a whole bunch of other prosecutors wanting to watch, do you?
They all have the YouTube link, so we're good.
Okay. They're not wanting to be part of this, so.
No, it's fine. They'll watch on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Let's see where we are. And you have the plea papers?
I have them signed in here. Do you want me to move them?
I need them, yeah.
Okay.
Are you putting them in the plea judgment?
If that's where you want them.
Yes, that'd be good.
Or you want it in the inmate one, since there's nothing.
Inmate fine. All right.
I'm moving the second cell right now.
There's 2 sets.
One has a discovery control team, or,
I need one of them printed off then. Because I can't look at them both at one time. Say the same thing on.
no, I'll print them both. I'll move them.
That's
and
probably
I'll print
easier.
them.
That's gonna be easier.
So the ones that are out are just for you to look at.
Right. No, we'll trash them afterwards.
Should be another set.
You said something about 90 days credit?
92, Judge.
These both say 74.
Right. That's the paperwork that was filled out by state and given to me yesterday. I checked in with Bailiff Humphrey this morning just to make sure, because what it didn't include was his time in August.
Okay, so it's 92 days?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, we'll make sure you get that if you need. All right,
Thanks,
and In the, is it a deferred on the,
On the evading is a deferred, Your Honor.
Right.
so it's evading arrest.
Yes.
Yes.
Then the new case is a failure to ID.
Yes, Judge.
All right, Mr. Bishop, if you would raise your right hand and be sworn. You swear or affirm testimony about to give me the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Is your true name Mark Gregory Bishop?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can put your hand down. Do you understand you have 2 cases pending? One case you are charged with failure to ID.
Yes, sir.
And in an old case, you're placed on deferred for evading arrest, and the state has filed a petition to adjudicate you, alleging you violate your probation. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And it looks like let's take the old case first. In the old case, you're going to enter a plea of true,
Yes, sir.
and then you're going to go open to the court for punishment. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Judge, one thing to clarify, that during the hearing, we'll go through the fact that he did do some community service hours. We're pleading true to the allegations, then we would ask that that be taken into account as well.
Okay. But you understand you're going to plead true to the allegations, and you're going to have an explanation for whatever you didn't finish. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And then I will be able to assess punishment anywhere within the range of punishment. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
I could continue on deferred, or revoke you, put you on
Yes, sir.
regular probation, or revoke you and sentence you to jail time. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
To the allegations in the state's petition to adjudicate, how do you plead? True or not true?
True.
I accept your plea of true. In the new case, you understand you are charged with failure to ID.
Yes, sir.
Have you had enough time to go over that case with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
And in that case, it looks like you're going to enter a plea of guilty, but you're going to go open for punishment. And again, I'll be assessing punishment anywhere within the range of punishment. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand in both cases, we're doing this plea electronically, and your attorney is online with us, as is the prosecutor? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay doing this plea electronically?
Yes, sir.
And you understand your attorney will be able to call witnesses, and those witnesses will be able to testify on your behalf today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. To the allegation or to the charge of failure to ID, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Can you restate that?
To the allegation of failure to ID, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, I accept your plea of guilty with the understanding that we're going to assess punishment here in a little while, okay?
Yes, sir.
Does the state have anything else to offer on either case?
Yes, Your Honor. First, we have some pre-hearing matters. We would like to pre-admit some exhibits. Defense counsel and I have agreed to pre-admit State's Exhibit 2, 3, and 4. And we will also stipulate to pre-admit Defense Exhibits 1 through 7 and 11 through 14.
And that's my understanding as well, Judge.
1 through 7?
For defense, yes.
And what were the other ones?
11 through 14.
12, 13, 14, okay. So what I have that has not been admitted is States 1 and Defense 8, 9, and 10.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. The other exhibits will be admitted. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
And do you want to call witnesses or?
Yes, Your Honor. We call Jeremy Watney.
Okay, let me see if I can find.
He says he's in the waiting room, so I hope.
He's here. I got him. We hope. There you go. Mr. Watney, if you would, first of all, unmute.
There we go.
There you go. If you would raise your right hand to be sworn. You swear or affirm testimony about to give be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right.
Mr. Watney, will you please state and spell your name for the record?
Jeremy Watney, last name is spelled W-A-T-N-E-Y.
And were you previously a detective for the Plano Police Department?
I was.
How long were you a detective there?
The second time around, I was a detective for 2.5 years.
And when did you retire from Plano PD?
September of this year, or sorry, September of 2020.
Okay. Are you familiar with Mark Bishop?
Yes, I am.
Do you see him in this virtual courtroom today?
I do.
Okay. How are you familiar with Mr. Bishop?
July 27th of 2019, there was a shooting that occurred at the start at the Wendy's on Spring Creek in Plano. The three of the kids that were involved in the shooting, I should say one adult, two kids that were involved in the shooting, all went to Plano Senior High. In talking to SRO Buddy Smith, I said, who do these kids hang around with? And one of the names that came up at that time was Mark Bishop.
Okay. Will you tell the court about the facts of that shooting? So what led up to it and then what transpired on July 27th?
Yeah. Tyler Wade, Malachi McAfee, Keyshawn Henderson, along with three others in the front seat, and I'd have to go through the report, but they weren't directly involved. We're at Wendy's at the drive.
And Judge, if I could object at this point, as to the relevance, they're not talking about an offense that my client had anything to do with. It's not in any of the allegations that my client was involved in any way. These are known associates of my client, so I don't understand the relevance.
Your Honor, this goes to the defendant's reputation for being a law-abiding citizen. That includes who he associates with. He's also listed throughout the RMS report for this offense as a known associate, suspect, and a related party.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Mr. Watney, you may continue describing this incident.
Those three individuals that I mentioned, Malachi stole a credit card at the drive-thru. I'll make this very brief. Stole a credit card at the drive-thru. The victims that were behind them in the car that had their credit card stolen pursued or chased after. It was a vehicle pursuit between the two cars, the victim and these three kids that were in the other car. As they were trying to escape, Tyler Wade leaned out the window and shot at the victim's car that was chasing after them, at which point the victim stopped, turned around, came back to Wendy's and made the report.
Okay. The gun that Tyler Wade used, based on your investigation, how did he come by that gun?
The night before, the gun was stolen from Frontier Lane, which is right behind Walmart off of Spring Creek. It was stolen from an unlocked vehicle of a visiting nurse. The gun was stolen by Ezekiel Savage, is the gentleman's name, who happened to be staying with Tyler Wade at that time. Ezekiel worked at Walmart, so he passed by the car on the way home, trying door handles, I believe, and found this weapon. He traded Tyler Wade for a gun that Tyler Wade already had, and that's how Tyler Wade ended up having the gun the night of the shooting.
Okay. Now, and defense counsel mentioned this. Was Mark Bishop, to your knowledge, was he directly involved in this shooting?
No, he wasn't.
But does he associate with Ezekiel Savage, Tyler Wade, Malachi McAfee, and Keyshawn Henderson?
Yes, he does.
Based on your investigation of this first shooting, do you believe Mark Bishop had knowledge of the shooting?
Yes, he did.
Did he ever share with you anything about the shooting when you asked him?
He said he knew about the shooting, but he didn't know who did the shooting. He had just heard about it.
Okay. Moving forward to October 19th of 2019, were you involved as the detective in an incident on that date?
I was.
Will you tell the court about that incident?
Okay. Patrol responded to a shooting at the High Point Townhomes where a gunshot was heard. The reporting party was an off-duty Dallas officer who was getting ready to go into work. She said she heard a gunshot in her complex, looked out the door and saw a group of individuals, a group of kids, adults running past her apartment out toward Alma Drive. She called the police, let them know this, loaded up her car, and as she was heading into work, she saw the same group at the gas station corner of Alma and Spring Creek. Patrol got there, got in a foot pursuit with this group, caught 2 of the individuals, and the rest of the group got away.
Were you able to, do you recall who the 2 individuals that were arrested the night of the incident? Do you recall? And I see you're going to refer to your report. Your Honor, may you refer to his very lengthy report on
Yes.
this?
Don't read from it.
I'm sorry, what?
You can read it and then testify. You just can't read from the report.
Yeah, no problem. The two that were caught were Johnson, Aiden Johnson, and I remember Kenneth Daniels were the 2 that were caught by patrol that night.
Were you able to, after that night, were you able to identify the other suspects who fled from police?
I was.
And who were those suspects?
Once again, I'm going to have to look down for my report because there's a group of them. And keep in mind that the identification of these individuals came from Mark Bishop himself at Plano Senior High, because he's identified as with this group. We got pictures from the gas station. I was able to identify that Mark Bishop was with the group. He kind of stands out with this group. So I was able to identify he was with the group that night, went to Plano Senior High and asked Mark, okay, who are these other kids in the pictures? And Mark Bishop identified everybody else that was in this group that night from the pictures. They were Tyler Wade, Devon Bradley, Aiden Johnson, Ezekiel Savage, Mark Bishop, obviously himself, Darius Taylor, Kenneth Daniels, and Jamarcus Davis.
Okay. And at that point, did you issue an arrest warrant for Mr. Bishop?
It was later. It was beginning of December 3rd, I believe, was when I got the arrest warrant for him and his associates.
Okay. And do you know if he was ever arrested? I assume he was, but do you know the date by chance?
I want to say it was December 19th, 20th, right around that time frame. It was a couple weeks later.
Based on these 2 incidents, so the July 27th shooting and then the October 19th shooting and then evading, did you create a crime officer safety bulletin?
I did. It was created once after the July shooting, and again, it was put out after the August shooting.
Did I send that to you
Sorry.
in advance of this hearing labeled as State's Exhibit 1?
You did.
Do you have personal knowledge of all of the information in that officer safety bulletin?
I was actually the author of it, yes.
Was it made at or near the time of the events recorded in that bulletin?
Yes, it was.
Was it made as part of your role as a detective for Plano Police Department?
Yes, it was.
Was it kept by you in that role as a detective for Plano PD?
Yes, it was.
Now you've seen State's Exhibit 1. Has it been altered or changed in any way?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, we offer State's Exhibit 1 into evidence.
No objections, Judge.
Exhibit 1's admitted.
And Your Honor, do you have a copy in front of you, or would you like me to share my screen?
I have it right here.
Okay. After the October 19th shooting, are you aware of any other encounters Mr. Bishop had with police?
Yes, I am.
What was the next encounter?
October 20th, Allen Police Department stopped a car in their jurisdiction that Mark Bishop was in. Davion Bradley ran from the police that night, and they came to Plano Senior. I think it was just a couple days later, and arrested him for running from the car. But Mark Bishop was in that car that night.
Okay. What happened the next day?
The next day, Mark Bishop and Ezekiel Savage were stopped. Mark Bishop was the driver, was stopped by Plano Patrol. Mark Bishop ended up, they found marijuana in the car, and Mark Bishop was retired was cited for possession of marijuana.
And who was in the car with him that day?
Ezekiel Savage.
And Ezekiel Savage is who you believe stole the gun for the initial shooting and gave it to Tyler Wade.
That is correct.
To your knowledge, did Tyler Wade ever sell Mark Bishop marijuana?
Yes, in investigating the second shooting where Tyler Wade was also involved, I received a search warrant to go through his cell phone. In his cell phone, I found text messages between him and Ezekiel Savage the day after Mark was stopped in the car and cited for the marijuana where they were talking about the citation. Ezekiel Savage said the only marijuana they got was the stuff that you gave them, meaning that Tyler had given Mark the marijuana, and that's what they found in the vehicle.
Do you have an opinion about Mark Bishop's character and reputation for being a law-abiding citizen in this community?
As far as I can see, he hasn't been one, and to this day, he has not been one.
And this group of individuals that he spends time with, are they an extremely dangerous group in your mind?
They are. That's why I put out the 2 bulletins about them.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Any questions?
Yes, Judge. Officer Watney, you mentioned before that you were very familiar with Mark. How are you familiar with Mark and were able to pick him out, for example, in the video from the gas station?
Well, I was familiar with Mark from interviewing him at Plano Senior High and also at his house over the investigations of these shootings. Mark in this particular group and this particular night was the only white male in the group. And when we're able to identify who was in the group with him that night, he was the only white male in that group. In fact, the group referred to him when I talked to the other members of the group as White Mark.
All right. And you were familiar with him before July of 2019, correct?
No, that was the first time I'd actually personally talked to him, was July, just end of July.
All right. And as far as his participation in any shootings or anything like that, there has been no direct evidence with Mark, correct?
Correct, yes.
And in fact, with the October shooting, it has not been determined who actually fired any shots. Isn't that true?
That is correct. He was there, but it hasn't been determined who fired the shots.
Okay. And when you say he was there with 7 other individuals walking in a neighborhood, correct?
In an apartment complex, yes.
Okay. And shots were heard being fired, but no direct evidence to this group, no eyewitness testimony to seeing shots fired or anything like that, correct?
Mark said that a shot was fired. And when I asked him who in the group fired the shot, he said it could have been anybody because all of them except him carry guns at one time or another.
Hold on. Now you're saying Mark said that?
Yes.
Isn't it true that Mark did not say that? Mark did say to you when you were interviewing him at Plano Senior High that he did not know who shot anything and did not see any shot fired. He heard it.
Okay. Yes, he said he did not know who shot. When I asked him specifically who was carrying guns that night, and it's in the report, he said it could be any one of them because they all carry guns at one time or another.
It's and if you can check your report to double check me, but it's actually Aiden Johnson, who is the second person interviewed. Mark Bishop was interviewed first. He helped you identify who all was. He was
Right.
honest and forthcoming with you, wasn't he, officer?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's quite a few reports here.
Okay. The third paragraph is where you talk about after interviewing Tyler Wade, I went to Plano Senior High.
Wes, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you have a page of?
Sorry, it's page 18. Page 18, it's incident report or offense report 2019-00199300.
Sir, you're absolutely correct. It was Aiden Johnson who told me that. Now that I'm looking at the report, yes.
All right, and both persons, both my client and Aiden Johnson, were adamant that they did not know and did not see a shot fired. They just heard it.
Correct. Yeah.
And they did not clarify whether it was anyone in the group or there, but they heard a shot, correct?
Well, Aiden said a shot had been fired at the High Point townhomes, but he did not know who did it.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so again, when you met with Mark at the Plano Senior High School and you asked him about his involvement, he was honest and forthcoming with you, correct?
Yes, he told me who all was there, including himself. Yes.
All right, so as far as his involvement with any shooting, there is no direct evidence that he had anything to do with any shootings, correct?
Other than just being with this group, correct.
And being with this group, there's not any direct evidence that this group actually had anything to do with the shot. And he was not with this group in July or in October, at the Wendy's shooting.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Okay, so first, he was not anywhere present. He was not involved at all in the Wendy's shooting, correct?
Correct, right.
And as you mentioned before, he'd be pretty easily identified, wouldn't he, in this group?
You are correct, yes.
All right. And there's pretty clear picture as to who was involved and the fact that he wasn't by eyewitnesses at that scene, correct?
The Wendy's scene, correct, yes.
Right. All right. And as far as the October shooting, there is no evidence that this group is the ones responsible, only that they evaded.
No, it's all hearsay. There was a shot. I learned that who they probably got shot at, but he did not want to be a victim. Never contacted me again. So yes, no, I mean, these groups, they don't talk to the police, just FYI.
Well, and okay. Was that information turned over in a report to the district attorney's office?
It's probably in a supplement in many of the reports, but yes, DeMonte Banks was the one that, hearsay, was the one that supposedly was shot at.
Okay. No more questions, Judge.
Do you have any more questions for this witness?
Just briefly, Mr. Watney, when you question Aiden Johnson, did he say who in the group carries guns?
He said everyone carries guns but himself.
Okay, so logically, if Mark Bishop is part of that group, can we assume that he carries guns?
Yes, I did not ask him specifically to go down the line. When he said everyone, I assumed he meant everyone.
Pass the witness.
Anything else?
No, Judge.
Is this witness released
By the state?
by the defense?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you're free to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Call your next witness.
State calls Officer Taylor Rust.
Officer Rush, you'll have to unmute and we can't see you. There we go. Now if you'd unmute.
All right, is that good, sir?
That's good. Thank you. If you would raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you swear or affirm testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right.
Officer Rust, will you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. It's Officer Taylor Rust. It's Taylor, and Rust is Rust.
Are you a police officer with the Plano Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with Mark Bishop?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you familiar with him?
I contacted him on a traffic stop last year, October 21st in Plano.
Okay. When you conducted that traffic stop, who was he with?
His passenger identified himself as Ezekiel Savage.
Okay. And it looks like you have your report with you. If you need to refer to it, just let me know, but don't read from it directly, okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
In the course of that traffic stop, what happened when you first approached the vehicle?
I stopped the vehicle for driving without his headlights on. Made contact with the driver, could immediately smell a pretty strong smell of marijuana coming from the vehicle.
Did you ask Mark Bishop if you could search the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what did he say?
He didn't, he refused to consent to search of the vehicle. I proceeded to search the vehicle just based on the odor of marijuana.
And did you locate marijuana and or drug paraphernalia in the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask him by chance, and I don't know if this is in the report, did you ask him who he got the marijuana from?
I don't know that I asked him, and I haven't watched the video.
Okay. Ultimately, was Mark Bishop cited for possession of drug paraphernalia?
That's correct.
Now, to be clear, he did have marijuana in the car, but you cited him for drug paraphernalia instead?
Correct. Yeah, it was a small amount of marijuana. I wrote him a citation for the drug paraphernalia and the original traffic violation.
Okay. Have you had any other interaction with Mark Bishop, or are you familiar with him in any way?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know that I've had any other contacts with him.
All right, pass the witness.
Any questions?
Just real briefly, officer, was he cooperative with you other than the search of the vehicle? Was he honest and forthcoming with you?
Yes, sir. Aside from the consent of the vehicle, I think our interaction was quite brief. If like I said, I haven't watched the video, but I think it was starting to like downpour. So I tried. I mean, it was a pretty limited contact.
Okay. No more questions, Judge.
Anything else?
Nothing further from the state.
Is this witness released?
By the state?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. You're free to go.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
Call your next witness.
State calls school resource officer Jonathan Birch. Is he in the waiting room?
You ready to find out? Birch, yes. If you would raise your right hand and unmute. You have to unmute also. All right, there you go. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you're about to give in this cause be the truth, the whole truth, that's what the truth self you got?
I do, yes, sir.
Good morning, Officer Birch. Will you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Jonathan Birch, B-U-R-C-H.
And are you a school resource officer for with Plano ISD, but you're also a Plano police officer, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you, where are you a school resource officer?
I'm a school resource officer assigned to Carpenter Middle School as my primary campus, but I also cover 3 elementary schools. I cover Christie Elementary, Thomas Elementary, and Houston Elementary.
As a school resource officer, did you become aware of an incident on February 29th of this year involving Mark Bishop and some 8th grade students?
Yes, ma'am, I did become aware of that incident.
Were you able to view a video of this incident?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Will you tell the court what you observed on this video?
Yes, ma'am. I have access to the Christie Elementary School cameras, with it being one of my campuses. And so on 3/2/2020, I was notified by Mr. Lacey, or Mike Lacey, that he was involved in an incident. And so he ran down what happened in the incident. So I went back through to see if any of it was captured on the cameras. So on the parking lot cameras at Christie Elementary School, I'm watching some of the students that I was able to identify as Shane Sawyer, Michael Lacey, and I believe Nadia Nazoom hanging out in the area, and they were vaping. And then I watched as Shane Sawyer flagged down 2 individuals on bicycles, which were identified as Mr. Bishop, and then another one that possibly named Cameron. And they come in, and then they take hand them the vape pen, and then after that, I watched as the gentleman that they identified as Mr. Bishop stick in his pocket and begin to ride off on his bicycle. And that's when Mr. Lacey began chasing him. And so he dove to grab him, and he grabbed like the back of his shirt. And that's when Mr. Bishop kind of let go of the bicycle, landed on his feet, and turned around and punched Mr. Lacey, and causing him to fall over.
Okay, I want to break that down a little bit. These 3 students that you're personally familiar with, what grade are they in, or what's their age approximately at the time of this incident?
Last year they were in 8th grade, which I believe makes them about 13.
Okay, and Michael Lacey, the one who reported this incident, is he a big 13-year-old, little 13-year-old? Do you know what kind of stature he is?
He was taller and, thin and skinny.
Okay. So Mark Bishop takes the vape and starts riding off with it. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when Michael Lacey chases after him and dives for him, does he knock Mr. Bishop off the bike or send him to the ground or anything like that?
No, ma'am. He kind of gets dragged behind the bike for a little bit.
Okay. And so Michael Lacey, the 8th grader, is being dragged behind Mark Bishop on the bike. Describe the punch from Mark Bishop.
It looked like it was a right hand punch, and he struck him in the face. So, and like I said, as soon as contact was made, Mr. Lacey goes down.
From your review of the video, did Mr. Lacey appear unconscious or unsteady after the hit?
Yes, ma'am. So when he did get up, his balance was all unsteady. He was wobbling all over the place.
And what did Mark Bishop do after he punched this 8th grader?
And he picked up his bicycle and rode off, I believe, going northbound on Rainier Road.
All right, thank you, Officer Birch. Pass the witness.
Any questions?
Yes, Judge. Officer, you were not the detective who handled the case afterwards, correct?
No, sir, I was not.
Did you interview those kids after you watched the video before?
Yes, sir. I did speak with the 8th graders.
With the one 8th grader or all of them?
I believe I spoke with Shane Sawyer, Michael Lacey, sir.
All right. And at first, Michael Lacey lied to you about what he was there doing, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it wasn't until much later that he actually admitted, it wasn't until his mom got involved that he actually admitted to vaping. That's what was given to Mark.
That I'm not sure, because when me and him went back and watched the video, sir, I believe in my report is when it says that he admitted to me, not when his mom got involved, but after we watched the video, sir.
Okay, so you guys reviewed the actual video. It's very clear that he's vaping, and then he admits to lying about the reason why he's hanging out there with those kids.
I don't know why he was hanging out there, sir. We were just speaking about the vape.
Okay. Did you speak to the other kids involved, the other kids in the video?
I believe I spoke with Mr. Sawyer. Yes, sir.
All right. And when they described the scene, they said that Mark was good-natured with them, was not threatening, was not taking anything without permission. It was not as Lacey described. Isn't that correct?
That I don't recall, sir.
Would you like to look at your report?
Yes, sir.
It's on the second page.
What was the question again, sir?
Okay. So is Sawyer the only one that you talked to?
Shane Sawyer was not the only one I talked to, sir.
Okay. So did you speak to Najim?
Miss Najim, yes, sir.
Right. And what was her statements? It's second to last paragraph.
It says, Najim stated that as Lacey was chasing Bishop, that he was laughing.
They were joking around. It was good natured, correct? According to her, according to everyone else other than the alleged victim in the case. Is that correct?
It states, I guess, yes, sir.
Okay. So Michael Lacey accused my client of basically beating him up, and he said he did nothing wrong. Is that correct? At first.
When I spoke to him, he told me he got punched in the face. Yes, sir.
So he came to you, and that's what he said. Later, you find out that it's vaping. That's the reason he was there, or at least he was there with friends vaping. And then you find out from talking to the other friends that Mark was not aggressive with them or anything other than friendly with them, correct?
I do not know how he was with them, sir.
You described it as joking, that Bishop was laughing. This is in your report.
It doesn't say Bishop was laughing, sir.
It says,
as Mr. Lacey was facing him, he was laughing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. That Najim stated that as Lacey was chasing Bishop, that he was laughing, and that everybody was joking around with each other. Correct? That's what you say in there. Thought they were joking.
I don't know if everybody thought everybody was joking, sir. It just says that Mr. Lacy was laughing as he was facing him.
All right. So when it was determined, I'm looking at now the investigation notes created by Officer Patton.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. This isn't Officer Patton. Officer Birch can't testify to his investigation notes.
Okay. Well, did any arrest come from this?
Not for me, sir. I did a supplement. That's all I did, sir.
Okay. So you turned in the report. You never heard about whether or not anyone was arrested or whether Mark Bishop got in any trouble whatsoever.
No, sir. I've not heard anything of that.
Okay. No more questions, Judge.
Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Is this witness released?
By the state?
A defense?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Thank you. You're free to go.
Thank you, sir.
Call your next witness.
State calls Officer T.J. Brantley.
You'll have to unmute. Little red button. There you go. If you would raise your right hand to be sworn. You swear or affirm testimony about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, self you got. We couldn't hear you. You have to turn up your volume.
Hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay.
You swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Officer Brantley, will you state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. It's TJ and then Brantley, Brantley.
And are you an officer with the Plano Police Department?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you familiar with Mark Bishop?
I am.
How are you familiar with him?
I worked in the area where 1504 Farrington, where he lives, or lived with his parents. Had a lot of response out there for his younger brother, and then a few with Mark.
Okay. When you say a few with Mark, what were your interactions with Mark specifically?
So we started receiving a lot of bulletins on Mr. Bishop, basically the group of friends that he had. We had a lot of shootings in Plano recently and a lot of dope deals, and we call them dope rips, but where they would rob people said they were going to buy drugs from. And so he came up on our desks and different bulletins multiple times of running with this crew that was honestly running around Plano shooting people.
Okay. Pretty serious situation, this group of individuals?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you also involved in an incident on August 9th, 2020 with Mr. Bishop?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you tell the court about that incident?
Just to clarify, this is the one in the park, correct?
Yes, this is the fail to ID case. And for the record, he has pled guilty, but I want the court to hear your perspective on it.
Okay. So an officer marked out an investigation in the park. It was past the curfew for the park, and they said somebody was sleeping on the bench. And so I arrived on scene just as his backup. And when I arrived, I knew that it was Mr. Bishop. And so I said, hey, I think I said, how's it going? Or hello, Mr. Bishop. And my partner, he looked at me confused because that's not the name that he gave them. And then I explained it. I talked to Mark there, and he ended up, I believe, giving us his ID and giving us his real name after I had found out that he was. So I told my partner who he was.
Okay. What was his demeanor like when you walked up and recognized him? Did it change?
Yes, ma'am. So, I mean, he obviously told them a different name. So you could tell he kind of slumped his head down and almost like he was caught. You know, he found out who he was. I think he changed his hair. It was pretty long for a while. And we talked about that for a while. And his demeanor was, normal before anybody thinks they're going to jail. Just not nonchalant, but just kind of just talking, not too bad. And then I believe we spoke about it, where I've learned in this job that you can really tell their people's true feelings and their true ways, how they act when the handcuffs go on. And that was kind of an indication with Mr. Bishop. Everything was nice, cordial. He said sir and stuff before. And then once the handcuffs went on, it was, F you, calling us different names. He's upset. He didn't think he was going to jail, saying we trapped him and different things like that. I have to look at the video to say exactly what he said. But in my experience, the true demeanor of people happens after the handcuffs go on.
And was that the case on this incident? He flipped a switch.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an opinion about the defendant, Mr. Bishop's reputation in the community for being a law-abiding citizen?
I mean, I've seen his name come across our desk so many times, linked to this crew, that honestly, I mean, it's a bad deal. We've had one kid was shot 11 times, 18-year-old was running with them, and then multiple ones we've had where it's dope deal after dope deal, and to be tied to that group and be known and be seen multiple times with that group it's not a good thing, and it's scary, I'll be honest.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Any questions?
Just real briefly, Judge. Officer Brantley.
Yes,
so
sir.
You knew Mark from prior interactions with his family, not just Mark, but his family, correct?
Correct.
As a brother, can you describe his brother or a foster brother? The brother, David, that you mentioned that you'd had interactions with. What interactions did you have with him?
He had been a runaway multiple times. I believe his dad called us the first time we went out there. He had weed in his room. And then my familiarization with him, I noticed that on a camera in the area, a kid matching his description had grabbed spray paint out of the car and some fences, and I ID'd him from the pictures because of my dealings with him. And that was
so basically you've had multiple interactions with David, and during that time you also spoke with Mark, correct?
That is correct.
And you also spoke with Mark and Mark's parents, Mark and David's parents.
Yes, sir.
All right. And did they condone any illegal activity or anything like that in their home?
No, as far as I know, every time that anything happened, they called us.
Right. Yeah. That was my next question. In fact, they would call 911 anytime anything illegal was going on, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And as far as reports of this group going around shooting people, there have never been any allegations of Mark being involved in any kind of shooting, even being there, direct evidence saying that he was there and participated in any kind of shooting, correct?
Not that I ever read, no. He just said that he was linked to that crew.
Okay, so him hanging out with certain guys has put him on a report, basically, anytime there are shootings involving those people, that group?
I would say yes.
Okay. You mentioned the demeanor after the cuffs go on. Would you agree with me that it's kind of a natural response to get upset once you realize that you're being arrested?
I can say it depends on the person, honestly. Not everybody's upset about it, but some are. That's hard for me to answer, honestly. I'd like to give you a better answer, but it just depends on the person and the situation of how that turns out.
All right. No more questions, Judge.
Anything else?
Nothing further from the state.
Is this witness released?
By the state.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Thank you. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
State calls Tasha Beasley.
Did we lose the judge?
What was that?
We lost your video stream, sir.
I don't see a Beasley.
Okay, let me text her and see if I can get her on here.
I have a Cheyenne or a Harwood.
I'm
assuming Harwoods are related.
Is
To
last
Bishop, Judge.
Beasley on any of those?
Your choices right now, there's 4 people in the waiting room. It's Jim Harwood, Cheyenne, Jimmy Harwood, Tabitha Bishop.
You might try Cheyenne because I don't know a Cheyenne. I don't think.
Want to try Cheyenne?
It's not my witness, so I don't want to speak for you.
She says she's in the waiting room, so let's try it.
All right. This is Cheyenne.
She just confirmed that she's listed as Cheyenne, so this
Okay.
will be Tasha Beasley.
I don't know what happened to my picture. You get to unmute. There you go.
Sorry.
If you would raise your right hand and be sworn, you swear or affirm testimony about to give me the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Tasha, your name says Cheyenne, so will you please state and spell your name for the record that you'd like to be called in this hearing?
It's Tasha, Tasha Beasley.
And were you formerly employed with the Collin County Probation Department?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you leave CSCD, the probation department?
December the 2nd, I believe.
Of 2020?
Of 2020, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you familiar with Mark Bishop?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you his probation officer?
I was his caseworker.
Caseworker. For what offense were you his caseworker?
Evading arrest detention, I believe it was.
When was he placed on deferred adjudication for that offense?
I believe it was, hang on 1 second, I'm sorry.
And if you want to refer to your documents, just don't read directly from them, but if you want to refer to them and then testify, that'll work.
I believe it was August the 9th, 2020.
What about June 12th, 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize. I'm trying to find these dates. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And you no longer have access to all of the probation department's records anymore. You're going off memory, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So he was placed on deferred adjudication in June of 2020. Will you tell me about your interaction with him, if any?
I spoke with Mr. Bishop one time and let him know what he was supposed to do. At that time, we had applied for reporting instructions to Oklahoma because he was supposed to go live with his uncle in Oklahoma. At that time, he stated that he understood that he was to report there when he was approved for reporting instructions. On June the 26th, 2020, I believe it was, he was accepted by Oklahoma. He was to report to Oklahoma at that time on, let's see here. He was to report, I believe it was August the 16th of 2020. At that time, he did not report to Oklahoma. I attempted to contact the defendant to find out what was going on, could not contact him. I contacted his uncle, and his uncle stated that he had not had contact with him for a couple of weeks. And let me see here. Looking back, we got a notification that he got a new charge in, I believe it was Plano. And so that's what kind of, brought him up, and we were like, okay, what's going on? And so that's what made me kind of look more into it and found all this out. So.
Okay. When probation is transferred out of state, are you kept in the loop? Completely transferred? Will you explain that a little bit?
So what happens is we are We contact with another state through ICOTS. So we basically have to ask questions through ICOTS system, or we can talk to the defendant directly. So when I had tried to contact defendant directly to find out what was going on with the new charges and all that stuff, he would not make contact with me, as well as me talking to his uncle and let me know that he hadn't had contact. And then I believe, from what I can remember, I contacted Oklahoma through ICOTS, and he had not reported to them as well. So,
did you ever get any kind of documentation from Oklahoma showing that he was reporting or doing community service or anything like that?
no, ma'am, no.
Based on your experience with Mr. Bishop, do you think he's a good candidate for probation?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Why is that?
Because he reported through his initial court hearing, and then he reported on the phone when he was living with his aunt in Texas. And after that, I do not feel he took it seriously. I guess, stayed with his uncle, and then he came back to Texas without asking. I don't feel like he's a good candidate for probation at all.
Thank you, Ms. Beasley. Pass the witness.
Any questions?
Yes, Judge. Miss Beasley, you said that you tried to call Mark on August 16th. Is that correct? That's what you testified to.
I believe it was August 16th. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have access to that. That was when he was supposed to be accepted by Oklahoma. I contacted him around that time.
Okay, and you are aware that he was in jail during that time. That's why he didn't answer, correct?
I contacted.
Okay.
I did not. I was not aware of that, but I also contacted him. Tried to contact him more than one time, and also his family.
Okay, but the times you tried to contact him were in August, correct?
As far as I can remember, yes, sir.
Okay, so if he's in jail for many days, for 15 days, let's say, there's a good chance that those calls could have fallen within that time period, right?
Right, but it was his responsibility to contact me and let me know that that is what had happened.
I understand. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying, as far as him responding to you, if he's in jail, that would make sense, right? Why he's not answering and not getting back to you.
Absolutely.
And then you said that you reached out to Oklahoma.
Through ICOTS, yes, sir.
Okay, and you did not speak to a Philmon Mengistebe.
I'm not sure who that is. I'm not aware.
Okay, so if he has a probation officer of the name Philmon Mengistebe and has paperwork showing when and where he checked in and that he even passed a drug test, would you dispute that any of that is actually factual, if that any of that is actually true?
We are not allowed to contact or talk to them over the phone. We can only talk to them through ICOTS. So we are not allowed to contact them through the phone. So.
Okay, so you can't confirm that he never did anything with Oklahoma. You just can confirm that on August 16th, when he was supposed to be accepted into the program, that he had not been.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All right. And that you weren't able to get a hold of him.
No, sir.
All right. And you spoke to his uncle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. No more questions.
Anything else from the state?
Nothing further from the state.
Is this witness released?
By the state?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you're free to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Judge, we do have one additional witness. It's Ronald Smith. I want to let you know, put on the record that last night at about 8 p.m., I was notified that he broke his tooth and had to go in for emergency dental surgery this morning. Not surgery, but without getting too far into it, he had to go in at, I think, 10 or 11. He said he would try and get on this call as soon as possible. It's very important to him, but I don't know if he's available. I texted him, and I think he may still be in the procedure. I didn't know if you would be willing to take this matter under advisement, or if we just need to proceed.
Who is he?
He is the a former school resource officer for Plano ISD. He was the resource officer at Plano Senior High and has extensive experience with Mark Bishop.
I don't think I would have to hear anything more. I mean, I understand Mr. Bishop's had a hard time doing his probation and has done some pretty stupid things over the last few years. So I don't think it's going to add anything new to what I've already heard. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, Judge. That does. Then at this time we rest.
Okay. Does the defense have any witnesses?
Yes, Judge. We'd like to start with the defendant's mother, Jennifer.
Okay.
Jennifer Bishop.
Let me find her. I'm assuming this is mom.
Yes.
If you would unmute. Headphones in. There we go.
Yes,
if you would raise your right hand and be sworn. You swear or affirm testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I swear.
Okay, Jennifer, can you say and spell your name for the court, please?
Jennifer Bishop, Jennifer Bishop.
All right, and you are Mark's mother?
That's correct.
Okay. How did you come to know Mark? He's not your biological son, correct?
That's correct. My husband and I were foster parents for 5 years through Child Protective Services, and Mark came into our care as an infant, about 2.5 to 3 months old, and we adopted him when his parents were unable to take care of him.
Okay.
We're very blessed.
So you've known Mark all his life, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And recently, especially in the last couple of years, he's been getting in a little bit of trouble, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And would you say you've been actively involved in trying to monitor the situation?
Yes, sir.
Would you say that Mark has always complied with what you want him to do?
No, sir.
All right.
No. Teenage boy.
Teenage boy. Okay. And he's 18 years old, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And as far as criminal activity being condoned at your home, have you guys ever put up with any kind of criminal activity?
No, sir.
Whether it's drugs, finding marijuana, an officer mentioned being called out to your home a few times based on maybe finding marijuana in your children's room. Do you recall any of those incidents?
Yes, those incidents were for our other son, David Bishop.
Okay. And who is David?
David is our younger son. He's 16 years old. He was also adopted. We were blessed to be able to adopt him from Child Protective Services. He has a lot of challenges in front of him. We weren't aware at the time, but as he grew up, it became evident that he has a lot of mental conditions that need extensive help. And that's what we were going through at the time when the calls were made, is realizing those things and then seeking out the appropriate help that David needed.
Okay. So would you say that David was unable to abide by the rules of your home?
He absolutely could not abide by the rules of the home.
Okay. And when that is true, what's your response?
If you can't abide by the rules of the home, you find another place to be. And in David's case, we found him another place where he could be to get the help he needed. He's in a residential treatment center to receive the help and the services that are best suited for his mental conditions. That way he can lead a successful life.
Would you say that your son, Mark, falls into that same category?
No, Mark is most definitely a kid that can be saved. He's a kid that can be helped with services in place. David had such extreme, or has still such extreme mental conditions that he was, by all the professionals deemed, was not able to be serviced at home. We couldn't service him the way he needed to be serviced. He needed a different environment.
Okay. And do you make any excuses for Mark's bad conduct?
No. No, there's no excuses. We just want to help him and put him in the right place to get better.
And as far as your response to how Mark acted, is it true that you kicked him out of the house eventually?
When Mark didn't follow the rules, he was told that he could follow the rules and stay, or he would not be staying if he didn't follow the rules of the home.
Okay.
That's
So
correct.
basically what I'm getting at is if he would not follow the rules, you would respond accordingly. You would not bend the rules to accommodate him, correct?
No, he had to leave. That's correct.
All right. And even at that point, you still maintain the relationship with him, correct?
Absolutely. That's right. We were always there for him.
All right. And one of the things that you tried to do was set up another place for him to go and stay, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And why did you do that? Why did you want to get him out of town?
I was aware that the people that he was hanging around with were not positive influences. Mark is easily impressioned. He's easily impressioned, and we needed to get him away from those influences. So that's what we wanted to be sure we did. So we made the arrangement to have him stay with my brother in Oklahoma.
Okay. And your brother in Oklahoma, you were hoping it was going to be a good influence on him and help get him back on the right path, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, that didn't work out. Your son's 18 and he made another dumb decision, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And I asked you this already before, but again, you do not make any excuses for the dumb decisions he makes, right?
No, sir. The decisions he makes are his decisions.
Right. And you're not here today to try to make excuses for your son and try to sell the court on something that's not true, correct?
That's correct.
And as far as what you think would be best for your son and really for society in general, what would be best? What do you think would be best for dealing with Mark?
We feel it would be best for Mark to be put into a rehabilitation program. It's called the Adult and Teen Challenge. It's there's a location in Oklahoma. It's called Sunrise Adult and Teen Challenge. They have an 87% success rate for the students and adults that are placed there to rehabilitate. A study that was done this past year said that there was 92.9% that had no legal problems upon graduation. 25.9% of them came out of the program and got involved in new training and education. And 91% reported improved relationships outside of the program, which for us was a big deal, knowing that Mark's so easily impressioned by other people. To be able to improve his relationship building skills, putting him in with the right groups of people, knowing how to build the relationships and how to build a better life for himself. Teen Challenge will set him up for that. They do everything from healing of just rehabilitation from relationships, from being exposed to any types of drug or alcohol that other people may have been around. They set him up with life skills, such as how to live your life, how to set up where to live, how to manage your adulthood, which is what he could greatly benefit from.
And how long is this program?
It's an extensive program. It lasts anywhere from 13 to 16 months, depending on the progress of the student or adult. And it's a residential program.
Okay, so he would be living there.
He would be living there full time.
And what you're asking for today is that the judge make part of his order, as part of his order, to include the requirement of Teen Challenge.
I would be grateful to have that included as part of the order for Mark to go to Teen Challenge and work the program. And I know Mark's excited for that as well.
Okay. And you were part of, or at least you had conversations with Mark and encouraged him to turn himself in October, correct?
That's correct.
When you were talking to him and you guys were discussing what to do next, you felt it was best that he take responsibility for his actions, correct?
That's correct. He needed to be able to move on to with his life by taking responsibility.
And you let him know that when you brought him in, that he was not getting out, that you were not going to be bonding him out or anything like that.
That's
right?
correct. That's
All right. And that he was going into jail so that he could go into Teen Challenge right after that, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And I have it admitted as an exhibit here. I know you're familiar with it. The letter from Teen Challenge from Ryan Strauss. It's the exhibit, defendant's exhibit number 14. That's a letter from the intake coordinator. Do you remember?
Yes.
Recall it?
Yes,
All
I
right.
sure do.
All right. We just got a new one in yesterday. And the plan, as it states in the letter, is for Mark to go immediately to this facility where he's going to be living there and going through the program for 13 to 16 months. And that would start tomorrow.
That would start tomorrow. Yes, we've actually have an intake appointment set up for him at 10 a.m. If the court will allow us to proceed forward. We are very excited for that opportunity.
So long and the short of it, you would like, and you're asking the judge to allow your son to participate in this program, to have this program as part of his hopefully deferred adjudication, but probation.
Yes, I am pleading with the judge to please give Mark that opportunity. My son is salvageable. My son is savable. This program has such a high success rate. It's more than us. It's a group of professionals that will work with him and teach him, give him skills and training to be a successful adult. We're very excited about that opportunity and would really appreciate him being given that chance.
Okay. And just last thing, and you are aware of the things that he's being accused of.
Yes, sir.
And you are aware of the background and reputation of the people that he's been around.
Yes, sir.
And that is the reason why you think it's so important for him to be in a program like this.
Absolutely. This program fits the bill for what Mark needs. And this program takes him away from the influences and takes him away from the surroundings that inhibit him. And he can learn these new skills and new traits and build relationships appropriately.
And it's your understanding that's what Mark wants as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Hi, Ms. Bishop. My name's Kate Harrison. I'm a prosecutor for the state of Texas. I just have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Have you ever had to pick up Mark following an encounter with him and the police?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
I picked him up once to my knowledge. You'd have to remind me if there were others.
Okay. Let's go back to July of 2019. Did you have to pick him up following his association with Kenneth Daniels following a bike theft?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then on August 13th of 2019, did you have to pick up your son from a McDonald's where he was suspected of being high? Do you recall that?
Possibly. That might be the same incident was that a different incident than Ken or the same?
So one was in July of 2019, that was the bike theft. And then in August 13th of 2019, it was reported that there were individuals high at McDonald's discussing shootings, separate incidents.
Okay, I don't recall that one.
Okay.
I do recall Ken and the bike.
Have you seen your son high before?
Yes, I have.
So you understand he uses drugs?
I understand he has used some weed, smoked some marijuana before. Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware that he told his school resource officer, Ronald Smith, that he also sells marijuana and THC?
Objection, Judge. That person's not here to testify. I'm not given the opportunity to cross-examine Officer Buddy. I'm well aware of.
Sustained still.
Are you aware if your son has ever sold marijuana or THC gummies?
No, I have not seen him do that.
But you do know that he associates with very dangerous individuals, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's clear that you love your son and you've tried to help him in the past, right?
Yes.
And I believe his schools have also tried to help him.
Yes.
You're aware of an incident in December of 2019 involving his ex-girlfriend, Avery Sanders?
Yes.
What is your understanding of that incident?
My understanding of that incident is that Mark was accused by Avery falsely. When it came to light that that was a false accusation, we went ahead and worked with the director of the school to rectify the situation. And in the end, it was in Mark's best interest from my perspective to give him a different setting based on the circumstances. And so I placed him in another academy that was smaller, with additional attention and hands-on to work on his classes.
And the school faculty member you spoke with, is that Jan, Jan?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have text messages with Jan, is that correct?
That is correct.
Just so you're aware, those have been pre-admitted as defense exhibit 11, 12, and 13. So you know that the report was that Mark threatened to shoot or harm Avery at the school. Is that right?
That was the false allegation, correct.
Now in these text messages, it never, in the exhibits, it never says that's a false allegation, does it?
No.
And Jan is not here to testify today on Mark's behalf.
No.
And the sum of these text messages is that it would be best if he went to school somewhere else.
No, I believe in the text messages, Jan was indicating a place for Mark within her school. And, Jan was coming up with a solution to that. And I decided with Jan that because of the circumstance and the school being a rather small academy, that it might be best for a fresh start. And so I made the decision to give Mark that fresh start in the new academy.
Okay. And Judge has these messages showing the discussion. When approximately were these text messages? Do you recall?
They should have been back in December of 19.
Okay.
Like end of December.
Okay. So it sounds like you and now the school has also tried to help Mark on multiple occasions.
Yes.
And we're still continuing to have problems.
We did continue to have some problems. Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
Just real briefly on the text messages, since it was brought up, did Jan take a position after viewing evidence from Mark, from yourself, from the investigating officer? Did Jan have an opinion as to whether Mark had done anything wrong whatsoever?
Yes, Jan and the officer did not think Mark was responsible for any of the accusations. That's why she was setting up the ability for him to continue schooling there. That's why she was making sure that he had the chance and opportunity to continue with that academy. It's just in talking to her at the end of that conversation, it's like, well, that's a very small school and, people talk. So let's go ahead. I decided to make a switch for Mark to give him a chance, a fresh start from there.
And in those text messages, when she's saying it's best that, Mark not come, she's not saying that he needs to not come back to the school. She's saying there's been an allegation of shooting up a school. We need to put him in a remote location for now, remote learning for now. But that was something to avoid issues with the entire school, correct?
That's correct.
And she did defend Mark with everyone in this situation, and she stood up for his character as well.
She did defend him. I was in the meeting with her and the assistant director, and they met with the other students that made those false accusations, and the other students admitted to it and had to apologize.
And there was even text messages received and screenshots of the conversations threatening.
I have to object. I've objected now twice. I would like a ruling on the.
I couldn't hear the first one.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first one either. I'm sorry.
But the objection is sustained. Okay. The second one.
No more questions, Judge.
Anything else?
Nothing further.
Well, let me tell you, I've heard all I need to hear.
Okay.
I know where we're headed, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring in the rest of the family. I think they need to hear what we're going to do.
Okay.
If that's okay.
That's fine. Thank you, Judge.
Can y'all hear? You're muted. Okay. Here's the deal. I've heard all I want to hear. I think the best thing for Mr. Bishop right now is to get him into a program. And the best way to do that and monitor that is to keep him on deferred. And I'll tell you right now, Mark, you might want to be a thug, but you're not going to be very good at it. And hanging out with the people you've been hanging out with is going to get you killed.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm going to put you on deferred for another 18 months, and you're going to go complete this program in Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
And a condition of your probation is that you successfully complete this Sunrise Ranch program. Okay.
Yes,
If you get kicked out of it, if you quit, if you get caught doing something you're not supposed to do, you're violating your probation.
yes, sir.
And you're facing a whole bunch of jail time. And I
Yes, sir.
promise you, you'll probably get most of the jail time you can get, because this is your last chance. I mean, you're 18 years old and you need to kind of take your life seriously.
Yes, sir.
Another condition of your probation is that you have to stay away from Malachi McAfee, Tyler Wade, Keyshawn Henderson, Davion Bradley,
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Johnson, Ezekiel Savage, Darius Taylor, Kenneth Daniels, Jamarcus Davis. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you're seen with any of these people, you're violating your probation. You're facing
sir.
a whole bunch of jail time. And
Yes,
I'm
sir.
telling the family all this because if y'all see him with any of these people, let us know, and prosecutor can file a motion just like they did in this case, and we can get them away from those people unless they're actually in jail, because they're probably going to wind up in jail sooner rather than later. So, but anyway, that's going to be your probation. It's going to be 18 months. You're going to be on deferred on both cases.
Yes, sir.
You've got to complete that program. And if we find out you didn't complete the program, I mean, this is your last chance.
Yes, sir.
And I kind of agree with the state about the fact that probation is probably not the best thing for you because you're not very good at it, but it's the best thing for your life. And so we're going to make you do what's not going to be fun. Probation's not easy. It's hard. The main condition of your probation, though, is this program in Oklahoma. And you're going to be there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're going to take you in, and you're going to spend the next 13 to 16 months, I think, trying to improve your life. And so when you get out, you got to get ready to live your life and
Yes, sir.
getting a job and other things that normal people do. And right now you're headed way down the wrong road. Guns and crime aren't going to be good for you down the road. So
Yes, sir.
you got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to come process. Can you come up here later today and process?
Yes, sir.
We'll have your paperwork done next probably 15, 20 minutes. If you can be here, say within 30 minutes, can you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And go straight to the county clerk's office. They'll have the paperwork there. They'll
Yes, sir.
fingerprint you. They'll have you meet with probation and let probation know I'll have all the paperwork, but you're going.
And that is part of the courthouse, sir?
It's at the courthouse.
I will make sure he gets there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you have any issues at all, let us know what's going on. But we're hoping you make it, because this is, like I said, you don't get another chance. I mean,
Yes, sir.
there's nothing. I mean, you're real close right now to going to jail, but I think the best thing for you right now is this. And so we're going to take one shot at it. If it doesn't work, then I guess we all know where you belong, and hopefully we never see you again. Hopefully you're off and making a living and growing up. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good luck. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.